4 tips to improve social anxiety. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. Let's dig in. First, let's talk about what causes social anxiety. Then, secondly, let's think about what is happening in your brain so that it not only causes but perpetuates, makes social anxiety worse and keeps it going. Then, of course, number 3 are your 4 tips or strategies to reduce and eliminate social anxiety. Okay, number 1, what causes social anxiety? So we know from the science that anxiety is a brain based challenge. So what that means is when we feel anxious, anybody, and then we'll dig into people who have true social anxiety, but when we feel anxious, it means that our brain is using excessive, fast, high energy. It's called high beta. And it is the electrical energy that's going very, very fast in your brain. When your brain feels calm and focused, it's using slower, medium speed energy that makes it so that you can feel calm and engaged and not nervous or anxious. As the energy increases and goes faster, then you will suffer from anxiety. So, if you struggle with anxiety in general, it means that your baseline, the level of high beta that your brain is using, is higher than someone's who doesn't struggle with anxiety. If you struggle with social anxiety, it means that that level shoots up very quickly in certain social situations. So let's so obviously 1 and 2 are intermingled here. The cause and what's happening in the brain. So we know what's happening in your brain, but the cause can be a trigger. And so the triggers are different social situations that make that high fast energy go from 0 to 60 literally in your brain, go to this very very fast speed and make you feel overwhelmed and anxious. So the first step is I'd love for you to think about what those triggers might be for you. Now, we also know that the causes of social anxiety from the National Institute of Health, they state that for many people, social skills are underdeveloped. So when you go into these social situations and you don't know how to deal with them, it gives you more anxiety. And again, that goes hand in hand too, because we know when social skills are underdeveloped, it can lead to a brain that's using that faster high energy because the skill set to deal with socialization isn't there. So, of course, that's going to be in your strategies too. So, we'll get there in a second. So, the cause is this higher baseline of anxiety and faster spikes of anxiety in certain situations. Okay, so that leads us to 3. What are your 4 brain tip strategies to be able to reduce social anxiety? Number 1 is to make a plan. So I know it sounds strange, but honestly, I make a plan anytime I go out socially. I want to know who's there. I kind of plan the things that I'm going to talk about. If I'm going into certain situations, I have a skill set that I have developed to be able to handle those situations. So if you've heard me talk before or you know me personally, I don't really enjoy socializing. I know you think it's weird because I make a lot of these videos. I love teaching and I love talking to people in a camera. Now, socializing with them, not so much. So, having a plan helps me. This is what I want or I encourage you to do so that you have a plan. First of all, figure out which situations are the most stressful for you. So, if it's going to the grocery store, if it's going to parties or to gatherings, make a list of the situations that are the most anxiety provoking for you. This is strategy number 1, making your plan. Then when you figure out what those specific situations are, make a plan to develop the social skills to become better at those situations. And I'm going to give you an example in a minute. But the plan can't take you from where you are struggling with social anxiety to being a master of that situation. We need to scaffold you there, and that's a therapeutic technique, taking you from where you are and baby stepping you into feeling like a master of that domain. So, scaffolding, that's part of this plan tip number 1. So, an example might be if you really struggle with just socializing with people in general, and when you go to the grocery store, you got the head down and you go to the self checkout, perhaps the next time you go, you make a plan to get into the line and to chat with the cashier. That's a safe environment, safe-ish for someone with social anxiety, and the amount of things that you will talk about will be reduced to a very minimum amount of things. So I was at the grocery store yesterday. The person said to me, "How's your day going so far?" And that was very nice. If that person too starts socializing with me, because I didn't start socializing with them, I said, "My day is going great. How about yours?" And then that person told me about their day. And then, of course, they made a comment about something I was buying. I'm like, "Yeah, that's for my kids. That I thought they would enjoy that snack." So it's a safe place that you can have a limited pool of things that you're going to talk about, and you can actually prepare them ahead of time. And they're the safe things like the weather, about something that you're buying, something that you're doing later, or just ask that person and have them tell you. Come up with a set of 3 questions. How was your day today? And actually, I did ask the cashier, "How long are you here today?" And it was at like 4 o'clock, and he said he's there till 10 p.m. And I said, "Whoa, you still have a long time ahead of you. Will it slow down as the night goes on?" Obviously, it will, right? But it gave him the opportunity to say, "Yeah, it usually slows down after 6, and then I'll do this, that, and the other thing." Limited pool of things to talk about. Okay, let's move on to the next strategy. Strategy number 2, box breathing. When you control your breath, it slows down your heart rate and it slows down that fast, high energy in your brain. So if you can feel it rising in those situations, you can bring it back down through box breathing. Now, box breathing goes like this. You can do it at 3 or 4 seconds, is usually the best way. It's an inhale for 3 seconds, a hold for 3 seconds, an exhale for 3 seconds, and a hold for 3 seconds. And you can do it for 3 or 4. The longer you do it and the slower that it is, the more the likelihood that it's going to reset your brain from that rising energy and to bring it down. And it's especially helpful in those moments. So you get up to the cashier and you take a nice box breath. Try not to make it strange because then it'll add to the anxiety, but you can just do it internally. Now, I wanted to go back to one example that I forgot to tell you honestly from the plan. If you Social gatherings tend to be very anxiety provoking for many people, and I've talked about this for me many times before, where I will enter a room and say hello to every single person, and I will have to gain the strength to be able to go introduce myself. And I always ask people, "So, how do you spend your time?" So they can answer it with work, they can answer it with social, they can answer it any way they want. I say, "Hi, I'm Trish. Nice to meet you. What do you do to spend your time?" Super easy introduction. I work the entire room with that line, and then I'm off the hook to go do what I want, which is hang out in a corner with my friends. So that is my strategy. But what your strategy can be to, before you go into a room full of strangers, is to have a gathering. Have a gathering with a safe, small number of people that you feel good with, and invite one new person so you can try these social skills. So, those 2 skills can really help you in social gatherings. Go try them. Okay, then we've covered box breathing. Number 3 is R.A.K.E, random acts of kindness everywhere. And if you haven't practiced this, not only will it help you in social situations, it improves that baseline high beta energy. We know when we give and when we do for other people, it can reset that energy all the time. And so, random acts of kindness everywhere means you take the opportunities to do kind things for people. It can be in a social way or it can be in a nonverbal way, but it starts to teach your brain to interact with other people in a positive way. So, you can hold the door for someone. And yes, they'll probably thank you, and then you will tell them you're welcome, but that's the extent of the interaction. The more you do that, you get used to engaging with other people, and it can really help you out. Okay, number 4, I would be totally remiss if I didn't mention brain training. Brain training is the number one thing that you can do to lower that baseline overall, and it will help improve your anxiety in social situations and always. It will help you to feel calm and focused. I'm going to tell you about it in a second, but it will also help you. We know that social anxiety is linked to spikes in cortisol in the afternoon. So if you use brain training either in the morning or in the afternoon, it will help to reset those cortisol spikes. Cortisol's the hormone of stress that's associated with that high fast energy. It will reset it on a daily basis or every other day lowering your baseline. So the next time after you've done brain training and you go into a social situation, it's not going to be as anxiety provoking as it was before you started doing brain training. Now, brain training is very easy and simple these days at home. You use the Muse Headband, Muse. I've made videos about it on this channel. You can purchase it with the link below for 15% off, and it's an amazing deal. It's an investment because it's typically $249 in the United States. They do have an international store that you can purchase it worldwide, and it converts the currency. It's easy peasy using the link below.